Hey, everyone, welcome back. You are watching Insight. You guys always know we've got to get those great financial tips, especially as we get ready to go into the year 2024. Let's go ahead and check in with our good friend Heather Foster with Foster Financial. Heather, today we are talking long-term care. You know, it's really important for people to begin to really be thinking about that, or some people may already be thinking about it.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's a topic that nobody wants to talk about. I mean, who wants to talk about needing some sort of facility care or help as you age? And some people need it earlier than obviously retirement, but it's not an easy topic to have. What I find myself talking to a lot of my clients about, Tony, is maybe it's about them or maybe it's about their mom and dad who are actually currently going through that process of needing some sort of help in the house or going to an assisted living facility or a long-term care facility. So I want to talk a little bit about the shift that we have seen in our industry when it comes to what kind of coverages that you can get put into place to cover these occurrences, and then also some ideas because the old way of doing it has basically become unaffordable. Just to give you a little bit of background, we used to sell what we call traditional long-term care a lot. You could buy a policy and it would give you this really nice umbrella of long-term care coverage, and it was pretty reasonable. Maybe for a husband and wife, it was $2,500 a year, and it gave them this 3 to 4 years of coverage, and it would keep up with the cost of a long-term care facility. It'd have an inflation feature to it. It would even potentially keep them at home and upgrade their house to add a wheelchair ramp or allow them to have an in-home person as well care for them at their house. The problem became that the baby boomer generation, we all know from the name itself, baby boomers, right? There was a boom. They're all in that retirement phase, and the earlier ones are going into those long-term care facilities. So when we look at actuary tables, when we look at the underwriting that goes into those policies, I'm assuming basically what happened years and years ago is they didn't anticipate the number of people actually using these policies. So we actually seen companies pull out of the marketplace, Tony, and say, hey, we don't want to issue any more of these because we're already on the hook to pay all these policies holders out. And then for new people, so people wanting this traditional coverage, they either one, it's just unaffordable because they jacked the rates up. We saw them double in price in a matter of a year. In fact, as agents, we got a warning ahead of time that said, if you've got anyone who's looking for long-term care, you need to get them in there now. Otherwise, the premiums are going to double. So what was $2,500 became $5,000. And since then, and that was about 5 years ago, since then, those premiums have doubled again. Or if people have existing long-term care policies, they're seeing and getting those notices that they're raising those premiums. So traditional long-term care insurance has really become something that's unaffordable, and it's something that we will still quote people, but it's just ridiculously expensive because of the coverages that they're covering for the amount of people who are using the policies. So there are some alternatives that I wanted to mention.
Yeah.
So if you're in that boat where one, you can't afford $10,000 a year for traditional long-term care insurance, maybe you look down the road of life insurance. There's a lot of life insurance products that also have what we call an LTC rider or a long-term care rider attached to them, where you can get to the death benefit if you needed some sort of facility care before you actually pass away. Those are going to be a lot less expensive and then they also have a death benefit tied to it, so that you know that what you're paying for is either going to go as a death benefit to your heirs or paid out to a long-term care facility. Yeah. Then there's another type called asset-based long-term care. That's where you can actually leverage or almost collateralize, but it's leveraging your assets towards a long-term care policy. So maybe you put $100,000 into this policy. It guarantees that you can take your $100,000 back at some point in the future. So it's money you can take back to yourself, or it can also go as a death benefit to your heirs, or it can be used as a long-term care policy. So these are hybrid policies. And then the third one that I wanted to mention, and this is really important for those people who can't get insurance. Maybe you've had a health diagnosis, you've had cancer, you've had something going on that would basically disqualify you when somebody looks at your health history and says, hey, this person is not insurable. If you fall into that category, an annuity may be a good fit for you. An annuity is also an insurance-based product, but when you buy an annuity, a lot of them will take the income or the income rider that's on them and double those payments for up to 5 years for a long-term care occurrence. So those actually are not underwritten whatsoever. They don't even ask you any health questions. So you may be able to get some coverage, not the big umbrella of coverage, but there are alternatives that we're trying to help people understand may be a good fit for you in your retirement plan.
A few good options right there, a few great alternatives. And that's why it's important for people, if they have those questions or they say, hey, I need some help in figuring this out. What exactly are my options? That's why it's important for them to give you guys a call over at Foster Financial. Always bringing those great tips. Thank you so much for that, Heather.
Of course.
All right, everyone, take a look at your screen right now. You can find out more information about Foster Financial. If you've never been, you see that information, book that complimentary consultation today. Or maybe you say, look, I just got some questions and want to know, is this right for me? Again, you see that information. We'll be right back.